Hello there, this is Debbie Heiser, and I am so stinking excited to share this new season 4 with you. And I can't believe that this is already the 4th season of Lead Your Life with Debbie Heiser. And I just want to thank each of you who listen. And my hope is that the tools, the thoughts and experiences I share, as well as the work I've done to love myself, love others, and love the work I'm called to do, that also helps me lead a truly lit up life, will help you move into a more lit up life yourself. A few things to look for in this season. Super excited to share that we're going to be coming to you now every week with episodes jam-packed with information to serve you. Every other week, you'll hear from a guest who's leading a life that they love, and I'll be asking them to share their stories, how they got there, and any thoughts or advice that they can give you, our loyal listeners. We have new music too, and I'm so thrilled to introduce this song called Ride, sung and co-written by my friend, Miss Jackie Wilson. And she, along with her collaborators, Tyler Banks, David DJ Lee, and Chris Renee, are super talented and generous, as this song fits perfectly into the thought of stepping into your best life. To follow any or all of these talented folks, check out the show notes for their social handles. Thanks again for listening. Enjoy season 4 and do us a solid and leave us a rating and a comment to help us be able to share more with people across the globe. Now, let's get started with this episode.
You're the only one who really can transform your mind.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Lead Your Lit Up Life. I know it's called Lead Your Life, but I like Lead Your Lit Up Life a little better with Debbie Heiser. Thank you, Jackie. And I am super excited. I know I say that for every episode, but I'm really excited to talk to Jackie this morning. I want to tell you a little bit about how Jackie and I met. Jackie and I are part of this group called Responsible Living. Many of you, if you've been listening to my podcasts, listen to the series I had last year in regards to the 12 principles. And, you know, I've been talking about transactional analysis and the victim game and all those kind of fun things, right, Jackie?
All the things.
All the things. And Jackie and I met, she's from Nashville. And we met where we actually were attending one of these workshops together and kind of forged a bond. And I reached out to her and said, I would love to have you as a part of my podcast, because she is leading her lit up life. She's a musician, a songwriter, and an artist, an organista, all these things. And I'm going to have her introduce herself professionally. But one thing I will tell you, she is a ball of fire. So you're in for a ride as we go through this next 15 to 20 minutes. So Jackie, introduce yourself professionally. What is your thing in this world? What do you do?
Oh, Lord. My name is Jacqueline Nicole Wilson. I am a healthy, dynamic, creative, and intuitive woman forever. And my life's purpose is to promote healthy living through music and organizing people's lives and spaces. I'm a musician. I'm a creative in all the ways. And I started an organizing business where I help people organize themselves and their lives and their homes. Yeah.
Nice. So what made you, let's talk about, because I know before we got on here, we were discussing a little bit about this whole idea of an organista, but before we go there, tell me about what made you decide to become a musician, and tell us a little bit about that part of your life, because I know that speaks to your soul, you know.
That's my soul big time. Yeah. That is definitely my number one passion. It's definitely what I believe I was born to do. I believe that is my assignment.
Yeah. So what brought you to that?
So, I mean, you know, from the age of as early as 3 years old, you know, just singing and strumming a toy guitar. And, you know, it's like anywhere has always been my stage, you know, from literally 3 years old. And grew up in Florida and then moved to Nashville in 96. My mom got a job transfer here. So that brought us to Music City, USA, and we had no idea what we were getting into. We thought we were just going to move into the country. Well, doesn't get more country than Honky Tonk Central.
That's true.
But thankfully, it was Music City, and you know, growing up in Nashville, got to meet a lot of amazing people, a lot of amazing celebrities that have, taken me under their wing over the
Mhm.
years and shown me the ropes and introduced me to the business. And I've been very fortunate to break into that here in Nashville, and that's taken me other places as well throughout my music career so far thus far. Um, but yeah, I've been singing ever since I can remember, and music is the number one thing that speaks to my soul the deepest. It just music, creativity, musical creativity just
Mhm.
courses through my veins.
Yeah, that's cool. So let me ask you, because I know there's a couple of things that I want to point out that many of the listeners or the viewers to this that I think are really cool with what you did. Like I've seen you a couple of times. I think you have kind of a running gig, don't you, during the winter down in Mexico? I
I
mean,
do.
that's like leading your life, right? Like, let's go
Ex-
somewhere warm in the winter, even though Nashville's not that cold, but like, let's go somewhere warm, right? And enjoy life and make some money while you're doing it.
Yes, that's the thing, So with this whole leading my life and taking control of my life
Yeah.
and doing the things that I want to do and love to do, it took a while to get there.
Mhm.
Because we're taught so different ways to lead our lives and approach our lives, right, by society and parents and other family members that have been taught other things and programmed other ways. But anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. But about 5 years ago, I kind of just had what some people would call an awakening.
Mm.
And I started a lot of inner work at that point, and really feel like I hit my lowest point that I've ever hit in my now 39 years. And it just really woke me up, and it really made me reevaluate every single area of my life. And you know, over time, I've just slowly like, okay, what do I want? Because that
Mm.
is the most amazing and most important question. And I ask myself that over and over and over again to make sure that I'm, still doing what I want and going after what I want to do in my life. And that helps to kind of, bring it to the forefront.
Yeah.
So
So
mhm.
that's kind of what I'm hearing you say is that kind of a manifestation of like
Yes.
Mexico comes in because you're doing that inner work and saying what you want and it's
Mhm.
happening. And then I will tell you, I have a lot of respect for you, Jackie, because I have quite a few friends that are in the industry, and I'll use that loosely, like the entertainment industry, some people that are on Broadway, people that sing for a living, yourself included. And I was so impressed because during COVID, you pivoted, right? When the pandemic happened, there was one thing that was super visible that I have a lot of respect for you around, because I didn't see other people doing this. So they started to fast follow, but you got online and said, I'm going to still do gigs and I'm going to still do some live music, but we're going to take a donation tip jar in a different way and do it virtually. And I just thought that was the coolest thing, right? Because you didn't let that slow you down. And that's, you have Believe behind you. That to me is the coolest thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, about believing and about stepping in and knowing you're doing what you're called to do because you figure it out.
You do.
It
You
doesn't
do.
stop you.
We have to.
Yeah. So what made you do that?
Well, I just thought to myself, okay, I don't have a very, very large family, so it's just my mom and I don't have any siblings, and um, I'm the only person that I can depend on. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I was just like, okay, like I got to figure it out. I gotta just do whatever I can do, and now is the time. No time like the present to just try things and see what happens, because you'll never know unless you try, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's what I did. And I just said, okay, we're just going to do whatever and I'm going to have fun, because why not?
Yeah.
That's my
Fantastic.
motto. Why not? I think I might even change my artist name to Jackie Why Not. But anyway,
I love it.
because why the hell
That's
not?
that's more like
Right?
like I think that describes you more
That
fully.
is so me. It's
Yeah. Well, and
Right.
it goes back to the universal laws, right? Because I teach a lot on the universal laws and the law of cause and effect, and desire is causative. So you knew you have a strong desire to be able to pay your bills, to do what you need to do, but not just from a survival mechanism, but from a thriving thought process too,
Yes.
right? And that's
Yeah.
what helped you pivot. Now, you also did a pivot, which I find really interesting. And I want to find out, like, I love the word organista, right?
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit more about what that means and what you like. How did you get into this? What prompted you to kind of add an additional career?
Well, so believe it or not, I started this company officially
Mhm.
um, August of 2020. I created the LLC, but I have been I created Organista in like 2013 or 14. Created a website. It started out as Your Organista, and then I changed it to the. And I just did it for friends and family. Okay, so and I've been doing this so long, I don't even like blink about. You know what I mean? I just do what I do. It's like I was telling someone this morning. I'm like, if I see a pile or a mess, I'm in it. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
like, you know. And it definitely, I'm sure well, I know it leads back to childhood and the traumas and you know, and you want to just clean everything up and you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm sorry, you asked me that question again.
No worries. Like, what got you into
Oh, yes,
like
yes.
deciding to go
Thank you.
forward with that
Thank you.
company?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So all of a sudden during the pandemic, it's like I can't do music
Yeah.
out live. I can do it from my home or do it from random locations, but I'm like, so I got to do something. So I guess it's time to really like make Organista legit, you know? So I did. That's what prompted me to create the company and go for it. And I had friends and family in town, friends of
Yeah.
friends that were home, and they were like, I can't stand this mess. I got to figure it out. So it worked out, you know? So I was able to do that. Well, then a couple of months into it, it hit me that I said, wow, I really have been doing this since I was 6 or 7 years old. Like 6 or 7 years old, we'd go visit my aunt in California in Napa, and I'd be organizing her garage. I mean, like, so it's just all
It's
coming back
natural.
and it's all like revealing itself. And I'm like, oh, I see you, God. I see you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and what I love too is it's, you know, when you think about the talents that you have, and music is organized. Like, a lot of people that aren't musicians don't understand, like, of course there's theory and all that, and it brings back nightmares of when I was, you know, nothing against the Catholic religion, but when I was taught by nuns, right, to play the piano
Yes,
at first, and it was very
yes,
rigid.
yes.
And there's a time and place for that, but the theory of music, and when you look at music, it's very structured and very organized, even though it feels like it's flowing.
Hmm.
Even when you improv, right, there's certain chords that go together and certain ones that don't. And so what's beautiful about this is it's kind of pairing the two together in a really interesting way.
Right? It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. And I really like that. And then I'm behind you is, I know we talked about this beforehand, but all of these beautiful paintings. And so I want to know, because the coach in me can't stand it, where can we buy some of these?
Coming soon to a website near you.
Okay. Okay, good.
So I am all about living, loving, and inspiring others.
Mhm.
And about 3 or 4 years ago, I was working with a gentleman and with some music stuff, and
Yeah.
you know, we were just kind of getting some things together. And I said, you know, I said, this is what my music is about. I said, there's about 3 columns. I was like, it's about life, love, and inspiring. So live, love, inspire. I even have it on my arm. Hold up, please. Hold, please.
Nice.
Live, love.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's cool.
Because that's just what I stand for, whether it's music, whether it's organizing, or just everyday being human. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
like living life to the fullest, loving to the fullest, and inspiring others in the process, and myself, you know.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. When you
Mhm.
said that, I wanted to go there. So what do you do to, and let's talk about inspiring yourself. What do you do to inspire yourself every day?
Well, I read,
Mhm.
I listen to music,
Mhm.
I'm a visual person, so you know, I love to just fill my mind with like positive, inspiring quotes and pictures and things like that. You know, I just, yeah. And I just take time. I just kind of chill
Mhm.
for a minute.
To
Sometimes
pause.
inspiring myself is just pausing and
Yeah.
just being still brings inspiration, believe it or not.
Yeah, good.
And then definitely painting, it's very therapeutic and it's very inspiring. And we were talking about collage before we started the
Yeah.
call today, and that is very powerful. Yeah, I that is very inspiring to me. Like if I need to kind of get out something that I've been thinking about in my mind or, mulling over, and I just kind of pick up a magazine and I go, okay, and I focus on whatever that thing is, and then I cut out anything that relates to that, and then I put it on the out on the table, and then before I'm well, when I'm done, I have the picture, I have the piece, and then that's like inspiring.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm looking across my office. I can't see with these glasses on, but I do the same thing. And I have slightly different, but similar in the fact that I do vision boards fairly regularly. Yeah. And I still have one that says Nashville written across it. That was my 2021. And I'm like, have to redo that one just a little bit. But one of these days I'm going to hop a ride with Kathy and come out to
Yes,
Nashville
you
and see
are.
you.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, because I've only driven through there. So tell me too, like when you talk about loving yourself, I know you've done a lot of inner work. So someone that's listening, other than hearing both of us say, get involved with responsible living, there's workshops that are going on across the United States. 10 weeks and a 3-day workshop. And then there's others that go along after that. But other than like those specific workshops, like what do you do to stay in touch with your heart and stay in love instead of fear?
I do what brings me joy.
Mm.
I do what makes me happy. I take the time to, have the baths at night and light the candles, and I get outside and play like a kid, or play with kids, when I get the moment to do so. I just over these last, years, it's like what really makes me happy,
Yeah.
and kind of like getting those in a list or a category, and going like, okay, as long as I'm doing this, or this, it brings me joy, it brings me peace, it's self-care.
Yeah.
I have a quote on my mirror that's all about, when you look good, you feel good. When you think good, you feel good. When you do all these things, you feel good. And so that to me is self-care. And it doesn't, I don't have to put on the whole face, but it's like, at least if I put on a little mascara or do a little something,
Yeah.
it makes me feel good and it makes me feel put together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just all those little things that don't take very long. People sometimes think too, self-care and self-love is like, oh, I have to take all this time to do these things. And it's like, no, you don't. You could just do something that takes you 3 minutes and it brings you like 30 hours worth of joy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it makes me think of too, Jackie, there's a really good book called Atomic Habits, and actually Brene Brown.
I have it next to my bed.
Oh, it's a fabulous book. And Brene Brown actually this is coming out later, but this is November right now of 2021. And she just came out with a 2-part series where she interviewed him. And I think about, it's about thinking about how does the woman that you want to be, right? Joy-filled, belief-filled, peaceful, happy, doing what you feel called to do, whatever those other things are that are the outcomes are not as important really as thinking about how does that person act every day, right? So like it's getting up and reading the affirmations to yourself. And I know some people think affirmations, it's brain science, right? You're reprogramming your brain. It's cognitive makeup. And so
people realize.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me, like, because I know not every day is unicorns and rainbows.
Right.
I mean, as much as I wish they were, and I try for that every day, right?
Oh, you and me both.
There's just some days when you're like, do I have to get out of bed, right? Or do I have to go do this? And then that turns us into the victim, right? Because do I have to do this? And we jump in and don't realize it. Oh, yeah. But so when you have days like that, like what's the reality of that?
I feel, or I guess what I've been trying to practice in those times, because like responsible living teaches us it's okay to have those feelings, even though they don't feel good, and they're, it's not fun, know, but, and there's a fine line between, leaning into those, not so comfortable and happy feelings,
Mhm.
and or am I in the victim game? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
because I want to be with those feelings because they deserve to be to have a little time with them too, so that way they can be healed and be sent away to never return.
Yeah,
At least
absolutely.
that's what I pray. I'm like, okay,
Right.
go away, don't come back. Um, but it's just, yeah, I find that in those moments, I can either just get caught up in like, which takes me down the rabbit hole and into the victim game, or I can just go, okay, so this is how this is right now, and I'm just gonna let it. I'm just gonna sit in this for a minute and
Yeah.
just give it the time that it's wanting me to give it, and then I'm gonna say, okay, enough, and then I'm like, where are the rainbows?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear
And
you.
then I just go in that direction, or and then sometimes that doesn't work either, and I just have to just be okay with that,
Yeah.
and that's when I pray a little bit more, and I do, I really, I'm in prayer really all day, I'm constantly thanking God, the
Yeah.
universe, the angels, all the things. I say the powers that be,
Yeah.
God and the powers
Absolutely.
that be.
Well,
uh,
and Jackie, there's something too, like you go where your light shines, right? And so if you're focusing on those things that you can give thanks for, it doesn't mean life doesn't happen and there's not tough stuff that happens. And
mhm,
it's not that you're going into what I call positive toxicity, right? Like where everything's unicorns and rainbows,
right,
but it's just being real with it is what I'm hearing you say. Like
yeah,
it's okay to sit and mad. It's okay to sit and sad. It's okay to be afraid, but it's important not to stay there.
not to stay there. That's the key.
Yeah. And I
But
don't
I
know about you, but I
do.
have what I call an emotional coach. Her
Oh,
name's Kathy.
yeah.
So do you have one of those? Yes. Do you have one of those people that
As
you
a matter of
like
fact,
trust
I have
and
a
kind of,
few.
pardon? You have a few?
As a matter of fact, I have a few, and I just recently went back to counseling,
Yeah.
as well. So I
Yes.
have a few coaches that I'm very fortunate to have in my life, but I'm like, well, they have so many people that they coach out of the kindness of their hearts and because they feel called to do so. I'm like, they don't want to hear my stuff. I'm like, so they hear it and then I go and talk to somebody else too.
Yeah.
But because every now and then you just need that.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so yes, I definitely have one of those, and it's very good to have someone that practices the responsible living and the
Yeah.
tools and who just has life experience with it, that can just give us that perspective or, remind us of the perspective that we once had,
Yeah.
because just we're human and it's easy to kind of get sucked back into some of those old patterns and habits, and even if we kind of know it and we're like, oh no, but then talking to our emotional coaches, it just helps us to just get right out of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Well, Jackie, if you looked at this last year and said, what's one of the biggest aha moments for you? What would you say that is?
oh wow, oh my, I think it would have to be, believe it or not, uh that music really truly is my calling. Like that
Mm,
is really what, I have I'm a Leo, so I
mhm.
think I can do everything amazing.
Well, so
um,
far, what I've seen, you are amazing
well,
in all of
well,
it.
thank
So
you, thank you. But just because I can do a little bit of all the things well or whatever, it doesn't mean that that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
right, right.
And
That's
sometimes
a
as a
that's a
creative,
really good point.
yes,
Say that again.
yes, just because I'm good at a lot of things doesn't mean that that's what I'm supposed to be doing or that's what I have to do just because I'm good at it.
Right.
What I've learned, and I think that's been one of my stumbling blocks, is that, oh, I can do this because I know how to do that. Well, and I know how to do this, and then it keeps me from doing what I really am supposed to be doing on this earth, which is singing and sharing these responsible living messages,
Yeah.
through music and inspiring others to, dig into their deepest, darkest traumas. And, I said, okay, and let it out and let it go
Yeah.
and just be happy and embrace the freedom and just let all the baggage like melt away.
Yeah. And that's
So
pretty freeing, isn't it?
it is so freeing. And
Yeah.
those are the types of messages that I infuse into the songs that I write. It's funny you said Brene Brown. I was taking a 10-week,
Mhm.
and during the 10-week, we have to watch a Brene Brown video, the TEDx talk. And it's all about efficiency and vulnerability and all this stuff. And so it sparked a song. And we literally listened to the video we were writing outside. I like set up this little writing area. It was really cool. And we watched the video, and then we created a song, and we're going to send it to Brene. So Brene, when you're watching this, if you're watching this, no,
Fantastic.
use it in your meetings. But anyway, so yeah, that's cool. But I just, I write things that are palatable, right? Because it's like, who wants to say, oh, trauma, da, 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 da. You know what I mean? There's ways to say it,
Absolutely.
And as you know a lot of my skeletons. So, it's not pretty to talk about those things, but thankfully, the fountain of creativity has given me a way to express those things. So.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So Jackie, if someone wanted to reach out and know a little bit more about you, I know you're on social.
I am.
Tell us your handle.
Instagram is at Miss Jackie Wilson, MISSJACKIE Wilson. Same thing on Facebook. And yes, or MissJackieWilson.com.
Okay, perfect. And then I know you have the organista.com too, right? As you're continuing to develop that business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Instagram is _organista.
Okay, perfect. Good to know. And Jackie, it's been such a pleasure to talk with you. And I'm so excited about, I can't wait to sit down with you a year from now and look back and see everything that happens in the next year even. So I'm really excited for you.
Yes, same. You look amazing. I miss you.
Thank you. You do too.
I'm going to try to get up there to see everybody. So hopefully we'll get to meet up soon.
Good. Well, and this wraps another episode of Lead Your Life with Debbie Heiser. And if you want to reach out to me, I help entrepreneurs make a lot of money doing what they love to do and without sacrificing what's important to them. So feel free to reach out to me. I'm at www.leadyourlit.com. And I'm also on social as well. So with that, it's a wrap, and everybody have a fantastic day.
Bye.
You can find your own kind of